World's youngest self-made billionaires, and outside of tech, people have barely heard their names. Well, in about 3-ish minutes, you'll know exactly what problem they're solving and how the company makes money. This is Deep, and today we're talking about the story of Stripe. Hit the timers. Stripe is a company that's focused on making it super easy for anyone to accept payments online. We'll do this quick video in 3 parts. First, a minute or so on background so you can understand the gravity of the problem. Second, all the way Stripe actually earns revenues. And third, its valuation and how much money it has raised. Let's get going with part 1, background. You see, internet has changed how we do almost everything, but one part that has always been tricky is accepting money or paying for things online. You can't really send cash through the internet, can you? So there has to be another way. And the way Stripe has solved the problem is such a monumental difference than how it was done before that thousands of companies can now exist and do business online that would not be able to exist in the past. Accepting payments online was problematic, especially through the early days of the internet in the 90s and 2000s. Because every bank and every credit card company has had its own rules on how they would recognize a transaction. And these rules would keep changing all the time. So if you were a company and wanted to charge customers online, you would literally need to dedicate a whole team of developers to just focus on all these financial rules and being compliant with them. And then there were chargebacks and all the other things that come with accepting credit cards online. PayPal tried to solve this also, which is why they had this huge valuation, but the problem didn't really go all the way. Come to the late 2000s, these two brothers, deans and coders, had already built and sold a company that helped eBay power sellers sell better. And now sitting on their few $1 million of an exit, they were thinking about their next problem, the next company. And they realized the most complicated problem they faced was of charging people online, even in their old business. So they spent 2 years standardizing this entire pipeline. They work with every card processor, every intermediary, every sub company that becomes a part of a transaction when you charge a card. And then they created code that made them all work together. So on the flip side of it, if you were a small business owner making a website or an app or anything to do online, you didn't need to worry about all the rules and the systems and the different companies and different setup to work with every card company. You just had to install these 10 lines of code that Stripe gave you, and Stripe would handle all the complexity on the back end, on their side. As a result of this, it became monumentally easier to integrate payments and to accept money for your app and your website and any store you had online, because you didn't need to deal with the banks. Part 2. How much money does Stripe make? Can you guess the amount of revenue Stripe had in 2021? They made over $12 billion, and they are profitable on the books. Let's see how they got to that $12 billion. The biggest way Stripes make money is through transaction fees. Say I have a site online and I sell teddy bears, and I sell them for $100. And if I use Stripe's code to accept your payment on my site, Stripe would take 3% of that transaction, which means on that $100, it made $3. Then Stripe has built a whole set of products that build on top of this transaction fee model. Second way it makes money is called Stripe Billing, which allows any developer or any business owner to create subscription plans in their product. So let's say you are Tinder, and now at this point you have 4 different plans. You have the free, the plus, the gold, the platinum, and every plan comes with different features, has a different price, charges different ways. You can bake them all into Stripe, and Stripe will handle charging all of those customers at their plan on their renewal date, all automatically without you having to do anything else. You pay Stripe 0.5% of every charge on top of the transaction fee for using Stripe Billing. Few other ways it makes money is called Stripe Connect, which is built for marketplaces. An example of that is Lyft. Every time you order a Lyft ride, you are paying, let's say $20. A big percentage of that is going to the driver, and Lyft is keeping its money, and Stripe is keeping its own money. Stripe Connect is the tool Lyft has used to facilitate this entire transaction all at once, and allows sellers like drivers to get paid on their own schedules. Another product is Stripe Radar that helps you detect fraudulent transactions. You pay a percentage of that too. Another one is Stripe Terminal that allows you to accept payments in person in your store, in your restaurant, at a festival. That one has its own charge to it. There are 2 more. Stripe Atlas, which helps you set up a business for $500. And last one is Stripe Capital, which loans you money by looking at your Stripe activity and charges you interest. And that's how Stripe makes money from that. Part 3, let's talk about valuation. Stripe has raised over $2.2 billion. Now, before the pandemic, Stripe's valuation was $20 billion. But all through the pandemic, it skyrocketed all the way to $95 billion. Now they have internally reduced some of that valuation and they're down to $63 billion. So I believe the old ways of setting up payments and accepting payments online were really cumbersome, and there was not an ideal way of doing things. Stripe has solved that problem, and I believe the genius of their solution was making it a developer-first solution, because they realized in the world of the internet, if anybody wanted to set up payments, they would have to work with developers. So they made their tools and services work really well for other developers. Well, hope you learned something new. See you in the next one. And let me know in the comments below which of the companies you'd like me to focus on and do deep dives on.